So, a Japanese man quit his job after his boss called him lazy, and now he gets paid more than 60 euros an hour to do absolutely nothing. So, a Japanese man may just have what some would see as the perfect job. He gets paid to do pretty much nothing. The 38-year-old Tokyo resident Soji Morimoto charges 10,000 yen or 61 euros or probably maybe 70 bucks per booking to accompany clients and simply exist as a companion. So Soji Morimoto earns a living by simply renting himself out and doing very little. Basically, I rent myself out. My job is to be wherever my clients want me to be and do nothing in particular. Morimoto said, adding that he had handled some 4,000 sessions in the past 4 years. 4,000 sessions. And that's what, like 60 euros per session, roughly? Hold on, let's do a calculator. Now, I don't know what the conversion rate of euros to dollars is, but let's just say $70 per hour. So 70 times like 4,000 sessions. So he made about $280,000, roughly speaking. That ain't bad. I mean, that's actually a really good living, depending on your living expenses. So, with a lanky build and average looks, Morimoto now boasts nearly a quarter of a million followers on Twitter, where he finds most of his clients. And you might be thinking, like, that's like kind of crazy, right? But here's the thing, right? When you have 250,000 people, having 4,000 sessions from 250,000 potential clients, which, by the way, maybe some of those clients that did these sessions are like repeat customers if he did good at doing basically nothing. So roughly a quarter of them are repeat customers. Yeah, exactly like I was saying, including one who has hired him 270 times. Wow. His job has taken him to a park with a person who wanted to play on a seesaw. He has also beamed and waved through a train window at a complete stranger who wanted a send off. Doing nothing doesn't mean Morimoto will do anything. He has turned down offers to move a fridge and go to Cambodia and doesn't take any requests of a adult nature. And last week, Morimoto sat opposite Aruna Chida, a 27-year-old data analyst clad in a sari, having a sparse conversation over tea and cakes, which was these two, right? So this him over there on the opposite side of her. And the thing is, right, again, you might stumble upon this, you might think like this is absolutely crazy. But you also got to think about it in another perspective, right? In Asian cultures like Tokyo, well, basically Japanese culture, Korean culture, Chinese culture, right? A lot of things really focus on the community aspect rather than the individual aspect, right? So there's really not a lot of focus on individual needs, wants, desires, all that kind of stuff, right? What's best for the family, what's best for the community. Oh, you are like shaming the community if you don't do this, blah, 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 kind of stuff, right? So you also got to keep in mind that a lot of Asian cultures tend to have very high suicide rates because they are typically very depressed or very lonely. So, this being a viable job actually makes sense because sometimes, especially nowadays, right, with the rise of, tech and social media, people are lonely, right? There are people out there who have no friends. There are people out there who have just don't really have anyone to really talk to in person, and people want that human to human interaction. Even if it's not really real, having a physical body there that you could enjoy life together could probably mean a lot. Could mean the difference between ending it and not ending it, right? So I completely understand how something like this actually exists and how something like this exists that is actually a decent moneymaker, right? Because the amount of people that are probably truly lonely and would need something like this sort of service are one, probably willing to spend a really good amount of money, and then two, are willing to do this with pretty much anyone, but probably someone that they feel a little bit more comfortable with. So, for example, let's say that someone had like a daily talk show or like a daily YouTube show or a daily podcast, right? You feel more comfortable with that person, right? And by feeling more comfortable with that person, you are probably willing to spend a lot more money to feel some sort of connection to them. This is the same way that a lot of these ladies that do these OnlyFans things, their fan base is willing to spend money to see something that technically they could go see for free, but they want to feel connected with that person and probably would even spend way more money, hundreds if not thousands of dollars, to actually see that person and spend time with them in a one-on-one setting, right? Like, keep that in mind. Like, this is all about like human to human connection that people are not getting in their daily life. So Cheetah wanted to wear the Indian garment out in public, but was worried it might embarrass her friends, so she turned to Morimoto for companionship. With my friends, I feel I have to entertain them, but with the rental guy, Morimoto, I don't feel the need to be chatty, she said. Before Morimoto found his true calling, he worked at a publishing company and was often chided for doing nothing. I started wondering what would happen if I provided my ability to do nothing as a service to clients, he said. The companionship business is now Morimoto's sole source of income, with which he supports his wife and child. So he literally has a wife and child. That's crazy. Although he declined to disclose how much he makes, he said he sees about one or two clients a day. Before the pandemic, it was three or four a day. So this guy could easily be making hundreds of dollars per day, if not $1,000 per day. Like, you never know, right? As he spent a Wednesday doing nothing of note in Tokyo, Morimoto reflected on the bizarre nature of his job and appeared to question a society that values productivity and derides uselessness. People tend to think that my doing nothing is valuable because it is useful for others, but it's fine to really not do anything. People do not have to be useful in any specific way, he said. Interesting. Feel free to give your thoughts if you stumble upon this, right? I just found this like very interesting because this sort of side hustle kind of exposes the dark nature of how life is for the average person nowadays, right? If you're so focused on basically your 9 to 5 job where you have basically no free time, no time to actually even hang out with friends or family or do anything, and you're all alone. Maybe you're spending all of your time playing games. Maybe you're spending all of your time watching YouTube. Maybe you're spending all of your time basically not engaging with a human to human interaction. You know, it's just an interesting thing, right? Like, it really shows how backwards it is to where we've gotten to a point where there is a lot of people willing to spend money simply to be next to someone. And it's a little bit depressing. If you want to learn how to get out of debt and master your money so that you could afford something like this, if you want to go down this route, learn how at 40inbucks.com. Feel free to give your thoughts. I think this is an interesting side hustle. He fulfills a need, but at the same time, it's honestly a little bit depressing. But for him, I'd probably be saving as much money as I possibly can for his family to take care of them.